This is the Aviation Business Podcast, the podcast that equips your aviation business to achieve a higher altitude. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Well, welcome to the Aviation Business Podcast, and we've been revisiting a series we did in the past called Old Adages Relevant Today, and so we are in the third part of our revisited series on Old Adages. And today there was a couple of, an adage and a proverb that came to mind that I thought would be good to visit about, especially as we are recording this at a time where we're in January, the new year, that fresh start feeling. And so with that, let's just jump right into these adages and proverbs and speak to that here for just a few moments. The adage is birds of a feather flock together. I'm sure pretty much everybody's heard that one. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Birds of similar, size, model, the same breed, obviously, flock together, right? That's how you see it. They stay together. I'm also bring up one of the Proverbs of Solomon. And for those of you who keep track via the Bible, that's in the 12th chapter and the 15th and 16th verse. And as we measure it today, it says, "The way of fools seem right to them, but the wise listen to advice." It goes on to say, "Fools show their annoyance at once, but the prudent overlook an insult." So the fool's way seems right to them. I know what I'm doing. It's right. But the wise listen to advice. They at least take wise counsel. So when you take these two different sets of adages or proverbs and you put them together, you can start to reflect on, am I flocking together or surrounding myself with people who can help me take my business, my team, my organization to a higher altitude, right? Am I seeking wise advice from people who have gone before me, who have skills and knowledge in areas that I am not as strong in, and getting their counsel on major decisions or direction? Or am I just going with what I think is right and then finding my buddies who are going to help me feel good about my decision and who just encourage me to do whatever I feel like? It's nice to have a little bit of both, and I'm not certainly insinuating that you don't spend time with your friends who may not be as growth-oriented or your family who isn't, but when you're really spending time in the growth of yourself as a personal leader, as someone who leads a team or whatever it might be, an organization, you have to ask yourself, am I surrounding myself with people who can offer me wise counsel from a good set of standards and values? This can take form or shape in a number of ways, from an informal group of advisors. You could have a mastermind group. You could have an advisory board. Or depending on your corporation, you may actually have a board of directors. But are those people going to give you wise advice, encourage you in your growth in a helpful and encouraging way, but still honest, and helping you to assess where you really are and steps they feel you can utilize to grow? So I encourage you, if you don't already, whatever your role, whatever your capacity, to have a wise group of advisors. Have that birds of a feather flocking together towards mutual positive and healthy growth. That's not unhealthy growth. It's not growth at an unhealthy pace. It's healthy growth. So I have to ask you, as you are in this new season, a new year, to examine your flock, to see what your advisors are. Who are you spending your time with that will help encourage you to the next level? So take your business and your personal life to a higher altitude by surrounding yourself with a group of people who can provide you wise counsel, who can help take you on the next steps in the journey of where you're trying to get. Well, here's your aviation fun fact for the day. And we're going to go back to January 24th of 1966. And that's when we saw the first flight of the Learjet 24. According to Wikipedia, the Lear 24 was an American 6 to 8 seat, which is 2 crew and 4 to 6 passengers, twin-engined, high-speed business jet. Lear 24 was designed as an improved version of the Lear 23, which was limited to 12,500 pounds of gross weight. The engineers designed the 24 to accept up to 13,500 pounds of gross weight permitted by the FAR Part 25 standards. These were built in Wichita, my original hometown, and were quite the rocket. Although those engines were much louder than the jet engines we have today. What a fantastic aircraft. So that's your aviation fun fact for the day. Until next time, keep your wheels up and your attitude high.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Business Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share with someone who could benefit from its content. You can stay up to date by subscribing in iTunes or your podcast player of choice. This episode is brought to you by Aris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence in aviation insurance. To find out more, go to arisinsurance.com. That's AERIS insurance.com.